Hello and welcome to the first of many new episodes in our ongoing growth. We're talking a single album today, kind of a first for us. This is your boy Practical.
Hey, and it's Brandon. I almost forgot who I was there for a second.
Hell yeah, almost forgot who he was.
It's going to be an existential episode today.
Maybe this episode will help you find what you're looking for. I don't know. Today we're going to talk 27th album by progressive rock band King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Wait, say that again. What number? How many albums?
27.
Shit. I do actually remember the year where they came out with like 10. It might not have been 10, but there was a year where they came out with a good handful of shit.
That's a shitload of albums, and it's such a short span of time too. It's fucking crazy.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
The anthem really is,
or the album, excuse me, is entitled "Phantom Island." I'm not gonna lie to you, man. This album completely, hit me out of left field. Like,
I mean, they changed their style every album. No album of theirs. They are.
This one, I don't know. This one's probably not for me at the end of the day. I'm not gonna lie.
You mean you're not a fan of Steely Dan?
I get all kinds of vibes from this album. Like,
this
Steely
album was
Dan,
kind of sweet, honestly.
Like, yes, fucking Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I'm reminded of all that shit listening to this album.
Oh, and it's like totally like a fucking yacht rock album for Danny. Like, there's songs on here that I'm just like, you son of a bitch. This is like such a yacht rock album. He's like, hell yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah, I that's good for him. I'm fucking not into it. I don't know. Like, I tried to like it, but I listened to it 8 times total. And don't get me wrong, I'm in awe of all the usual things I'm in awe of with King Gizzard.
It's got some funky good times on it.
They're great musicians, and their ability to be just fucking musical chameleons is fucking fantastic. But I'm just not feeling this one. I don't know. It's a little bit too soft rock for my liking, honestly. Especially
there's some good, there's some fucking good fucking like psychedelic shit in there. That, as always, they got some good horns and some good keyboards going on. Ambrose, that's one of the members that he's doing some cool little like weird noises and shit.
It's not terrible or anything. It's just with a band like this where they have like 27 albums, like I said, and I know what their other ones are like. This one wouldn't be my go-to Gizzard album, but it is the most polished they've sounded so far, I think.
They 2 different years. I'm just going to interject here. There's 2 different years where they came out with 5 albums in those years. 2017 and 2022 were both years that they came out with 5 albums.
That's fucking crazy, dude.
That is crazy. That's a lot of shit.
They're fucking workers. That's all there is to it. And they love to jam.
The only other guitarist I know, but it's like more a singular guy than like a group, because I mean, actually, I don't know how much of this stuff is all written together. I know, what is it? There's like, I know Stu and Ambrose are like the 2 main guys, but the only other person I know that really writes this much music is Omar Rodriguez Lopez from Mars Volta. Like, he couldn't release music under the Mars Volta name, so he would release solo stuff or other band projects and stuff, just because some guys are like that. But these are like 2 examples of people that I know have written just absolute fuck ton of music.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm always blown away because I'll look at new releases and I'm like, another King Gizzard album? I just saw one come out like 3 months ago, or like, which is crazy because that's like old school album release scheduling. Back in the day, that's what those big bands would do, is just pump albums out each year, 2-3 albums a year. Before you know it, they got 30 albums and shit. But yeah, Stu McKenzie, the lead singer of the band and the main songwriter, he also produced this album. Mm-hmm. And the album is a lot more, like I said, a lot more polished production wise than their other stuff. It sounds, I think they're finally gaining that traction because I see them mentioned in a lot of magazines nowadays, and like there's a lot of articles on them. They're really coming up and they're doing it quick, so that's pretty cool. But
Oh, only 30 albums later, huh?
hey, but in the shortest span
No,
of
I
time,
know.
imaginable. Like, their first album, to put it into perspective, their first album came out in 2012. Here we are 13 years later, and that's 27 albums later. That's crazy. Like, look at Slipknot. They've released like 6 albums in their entire career. It's all about perspective with that shit. But
Or
yeah.
I mean, they've released more albums than Iron Maiden has, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're lapping legends like it ain't nothing. But yeah, I mean, the album itself is good. It's a very solid experience all the way through, and there's really nothing on it that I dislike. It's just, oh man, I just got to be in the mood to listen to this type of shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's because it's not full psychedelic rock. It is really like Stixy, like Styx.
No, yeah, a lot of other people have described it as 70s soft rock, so you're not the only one.
And that's not a bad thing, but it's like these guys have put out thrash albums and metal albums and like hip hop influence sprinkled in there, and then all of a sudden we got fucking Crosby, Stills, and Nash over here.
Hell yeah!
What are some standout tracks for you on this one? Like,
Dead Stick, I love. Space Sick. And then actually the first one is pretty cool too. And
the title track, yeah,
Phantom Island. What about you? What do you like?
I really liked Lonely Cosmos. That was one of my favorite songs on it. And then Sea of Doubt was also really good. And then that last track, that Grow Wings and Fly, I like that song a lot too. Grow Wings
and Fly.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
This album is really interesting to read about too. I was reading about it earlier today, and Stu McKenzie's talking about working with the other member of the band. I forget his name right now. Let me see real quick. Chad Kelly. He's a English composer. He helped them write a bunch of this stuff, and this quote I like from him is that he brings his wealth of musical awareness to his chameleon-like arrangements. We come from such different worlds. He plays Mozart and Bach and uses the same harpsichords they did and tunes them to the exact same way. But he's obsessed with microtonal music too, and that's all nerdy stuff like me.
What the hell is microtonal music?
It's basically like you're using microtones in different intervals. I don't know how to really explain it in like non-musical terms.
Okay, do your best. You can say ding dags and doodads if that helps.
It's like a quarter note thing. So like you're used to a certain sequence, but this does things in like a third of that. And it's just a way you write. It's usually used in like classical music, like that's like he mentioned Mozart and Bach.
So
and
like
shit like
notes
that.
Within the notes.
Exactly. Like sometimes drummers refer to them as ghost notes, but that's not really used in the other terms. But yeah, very similar to shit like that. It gives you a lot more room to fill the gaps with different things, and it doesn't like overcrowd the recording. And that's what classical music really is, kind of in a way.
Yeah.
But
see, I got Pan Psych just started playing in my ears right now, and that is like, yeah, totally sounds like fucking Steely Dan,
It's interesting that you bring up Steely Dan a few times because we've both thrown out all these different comparisons to it, and that's what makes it have such a rich sound because you can hear all these things in there.
They got the woos in there, the staple from Stu. So
hell yeah,
I love that.
That Stu staple. Yeah, but I mean, overall, the album itself is good, but for me, not as good as some of those other albums. I don't know. You got me into these dudes, obviously. So
yeah, I mean, we could even talk about other stuff than just this other album. I mean, this could just be King Gizzard because, I love a lot of their thrash metal shit, like Petro. I don't even know how to say that whole name. Petro Dragon, Flaming Hellscape kind of shit.
Petro-Dragonic Apocalypse or Dawn of the Eternal Night, and Annihilation of Planet Earth and the Beginning of Merciless Damnation.
That album is sweet.
Jesus.
Petro-Dragonic is what I call it for obvious reasons. And that's a super just fucking straight up thrash metal album. And Infest the Rat's Nets is also their other thrash metal album. And they're, dude, these guys do it better. Some of the guys that do this shit full time. It's pretty impressive. Fucking Planet B and fucking Venusian Self-Immolate on Infest the Rat's Nets are like 3 tracks that I could just name right there that'll fucking fuck you up pretty good.
Oh man, off the album with the ridiculously long title, "Witchcraft" and "Gaia Monster" are 2 of my favorite songs by that band, dude.
Gila Monster,
Gila
Gila,
yeah,
dun,
yeah, yeah.
dun dun dun, Gila, Gila. Dude, that song fucking rips, man. Motor Spirit is such a fucking aggressive ass song. Yeah, I mean, these guys are like environmentalists, so sometimes they put their anger about like that kind of shit in their music, you know. And I love that about them. Like their music is such an expression of who they are and how they feel at certain times. Like Ice, Death, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava is another one that's heavy on the environmental, you know, themes and stuff. But that's like a total psychedelic. That album is that's one of my favorite. I love that. Ice 5 is a groovy little tune, dude. Just a ditty, just a titty little ditty.
Hell yeah, that's interesting.
But,
I think what's crazy about them too is if you look into all of their album releases, they almost never get a bad review on their albums. Like they're always solid 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 10 ratings. Like I don't think it's crazy to put out that much music and to have that much success, you know, with the review scores and shit.
They definitely put out quality stuff, you know. Absolutely.
Yeah. They we talked about this impressive album release thing here, and I'm just like looking at it and I'm overwhelmed because I don't think I've even heard all of them. I know since I heard them more recently, I've heard everything from like KG to the most recent Phantom Island album, but a lot of that older stuff, other than Infest the Rat's Nest, because you made it a point for me to listen to that one. I actually own that one on vinyl too.
Yeah.
But the rest of some of these older ones, I probably need to go back and listen to and check them out more.
Oh, dude, Polygon to Wandaland is great. Nonagon Infinity is good. Flying Microtonal Banana, yeah, they're all jams, dude. There are some albums in there that definitely don't get spinned as much as others, but yeah, I don't think there's anything in there that I'm like, ugh, turn this off.
Well, this brings me to an interesting question that I've been waiting to talk to you about specifically all day because we've mentioned it on the podcast before, but you're pretty well versed in like rock bands from Europe or from like other countries and shit like that. And King Gizzard being one of those bands. What about them stands out to you amongst those other bands? Because you listen to a shitload of this stuff, so the listeners need to know that. But King Gizzard is one of your favorites, so
yeah. I mean, I'm a psychedelic rock and stoner rock, doom metal. You know, I love that kind of. They kind of get lumped in with a bunch of those other bands because I mean they are psychedelic rock. I mean at their core, I think all of these other genres that they can expand into is because they are psychedelic rock or progressive rock at their core. It allows them to be kind of freewheeling with their genre, if you will. But yeah, I mean, what drew me to them and what I think obviously makes them stand out from the other bands in that genre is their versatility and their their insistence upon themselves, basically, but and not in a bad way. Usually you say that and it's like in a bad context, but it's like, no, they just release a lot of music and it's there for you if you want it, because they keep their names out there in the zeitgeist, and they're definitely one of those. If you're into stoner rock or psychedelic rock or any of that kind of shit, they're definitely a band that you have to at least be aware of them because they are so prevalent in that scene, So,
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. Yeah, and they definitely stand out amongst a lot of the things you've shown me too. There was another band, like I mentioned today. I had my coworkers listening to King Gizzard all day as well, just by force. And there's another band you played before, but also came up on that radio station, and I shared it today. I forgot where. Oh, I put it in the Discord today because I wanted to remind myself for later on the episode. And it's another band worth noting in this genre is Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. I remember when you put them in there before. Those guys are actually pretty badass too.
I believe they have some sort of association with King Gizzard, potentially. I don't know.
Okay,
I know the band, the Murlocs does. The Murlocs is one of the guitar players' bands. He might have even left the band to do them.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I don't like dive too deeply into like the personal aspects of these dudes. But I do definitely like the Murlocs as well as King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, obviously. And I think another thing that stands out from with them amongst a lot of those other guys, in especially the stoner rock scene, is a lot of those guys are just trying to sound like Black Sabbath, and I'm down with that unashamedly, and so are they.
Oh yeah,
but
definitely.
That's why King Gizzard is like on the rise and not, just playing, Black Sabbath Jr., which again, I'm all for.
Oh, yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. But their ability to show such range to me is still impressive. I mean, there's some YouTube videos of them. Obviously, a lot of their music videos, but there's some YouTube videos of them just jamming, and like they're mind blowing. Honestly, I got my dad into these guys. They got the psychedelic rock, they got the garage rock, psychedelic pop. Sometimes they're progressive, heavy metal. Sometimes the hip hop. I mean, these guys don't even have a wheelhouse. They just fucking crushed that thing and walked over it.
Yeah. So the first time I saw them with Danny actually, and they were playing with two drummers at the time. The drums were like facing each other.
Oh, that's sweet. That's hella sweet. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to put into one episode the magnitude of this band, especially given their discography. But if you haven't heard them out there, you hear us talk a lot about a bunch of common bands, but these guys are not as common or as known yet. But they're getting there. They're working their way that direction.
Yeah, I mean, they put out enough music. You're bound to find it. That's for sure.
Yeah,
the Gizverse.
And it would be cool to see them maybe collaborate with some other artists in the future because they have that ability, that skill. I could almost see these guys ending up doing like soundtracks for movies and shit too, which would be awesome. I think they're dude. Just like thinking about them doing even a video game score, would be crazy to me because if there was a band I needed to approach for something like that, it would be a band like King Gizzard. I think they might be the only ones I would think of in that regard because like they're a band that you feel like understands the assignment. You know what I mean? Like you walk up and you're like, look, I want a fucking action game with highs and lows and all the peaks and elements of what makes something epic, and they'd probably be like, no problem, dude. We'll be back in like a week.
So it's Cook Craig, the guitar. He's one of the guitar players of King Gizzard. His band is the Murlocs.
Okay,
they're another band that I really dig, and I think you would dig them too. They're definitely more, way more into the psychedelic rock kind of stuff. than King. But I mean, I don't know. Again, it's still so versatile.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know if you're familiar with the that old band Klaatu, but I also got pretty crazy Klaatu vibes from that newest
Klaatu,
album.
Veratan. I think, man, I've had. Let's see if I'm even follow. If Kla 2 A's.
Yeah,
Not following him. Ooh, all right. Well,
I got those vibes because they're psychedelic rock, like progressive type shit. And
mhm.
there was multiple times during this album where I was like, I wonder if Brandon's heard Klaatu because he might dig them.
Yeah, that's a sweet name.
Fuck yeah.
Fucking Evil Dead. What up?
All right. Well, do you got any closing thoughts on the band or the album before we sign off for the evening?
Yeah, a little quick one. Just a little single album chit chat here amongst me and you. But what I will say is Aerodynamic. I was just listening to that as we were because I'm listening to the album right now as we talk, and like, yeah. You guys, if you're cruising on a run, this is going to be a good album for the summer, actually. If you're out on the lake, this is the album. I mean,
Hell yeah.
and I will say another thing that is not related to King Gizzard at all for anyone listening who's interested in music or anything like that. And it's not related to this genre, but Anthony Green also re-released his Avalon album. So go and check that out. It's called So Long Avalon now, and like a lot of those songs were acoustic, and he re-recorded them as like real traditional rock songs, pop rock kind of shit, and it's good stuff.
Oh yeah. And to the listeners who may not
So
know who Anthony Green is, he's the front man to both Seosin and Circus Survive. Both of
and
them,
now
I think, are
LS
on
Dunes.
hiatus. And LS
No,
Dunes
Circus
as well.
Survive is
Yeah.
done.
They're like done.
Oh, they're done. Yeah, they're
Okay. I'm not sure the exact status of Seosin, but I think it's a hiatus. It's something like that. I know they were working on another album, but anyway, he's worth checking out. All his side groups, all his main stuff.
yeah.
Anthony Green is awesome. I agree.
I just wanted to drop an additional little treat for those who care and are listening.
Hell yeah. Little treat for the masses. And by masses, I mean like all six
The
people
millions and millions
of Beyond the Credits and Chords fans. Oh, this is your host, Practical.
And I'm Brandon. Happy
We'll catch
Sunday.
you next week. Hell yeah. Happy Sunday.